Dia just dropped, and she is absolutely stunning. But right now, almost every build I'm seeing is missing the single most devastating part of her kit, and it's costing people their minds. When you truly understand Avalanche, the way she pulls an entire room together, then erupts into a frozen apocalypse, that's when she stops being good and becomes the Ice Queen we were promised. Once I figured out this one detail, it changed everything for me. Stick with me for the next 10 minutes and I'll show you exactly how to unlock her full power. Let's make Dia feel like the legend she's supposed to be. Lock and load, let's do this.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
Banditos, what up? It's Tux with the first Descendant. Dia's kit is really good. Most people have landed on Blooming Ecstasy as the main Transcendent mod for her mobbing kit. And when you run that, it's easy to come to the conclusion that Frost Bloom is that ultimate skill. And it's great, don't get me wrong. But with the 30-second cooldown, give or take, it's not always going to be there when you need it. And because these battlefields are friggin' huge, the enemies are always going to be in it when you need them to be. The real skill that dominates is the Avalanche. Skill 3 sucks everything in while you're mobile. It sets up insane bursts. But here's the detail everyone's missing. You have to time your skill number 1 follow-up just right after the pull ends, and you trigger bonus damage multipliers on every clustered enemy. It's not random. There's a window of opportunity that you need to take advantage of, so her spear hooks explode frostbite stacks for at least 150% damage increase. And it's going to earn you delight for even more skill power increase. Her first skill is really vital. It's what's going to get you her custom resource. The longer you hold it down, the more resource it's going to give you. Ice Wall, you always want to use this because it's going to increase your defense by 50%, also give you more crit damage. And then when it expires, it's going to give you a health recovery of 15%. But what's really cool about it is the speed increase that it gives you. Turns you into a Ferrari. I'm playing on the Xbox, so yeah, I use a controller, and at first it does feel a little bit strange, but it doesn't anymore. Once you see the detail here, it will no longer be a challenge. Avalanche is so much more than just a toe, and it's really easy to just leave it there. But that would be a big shame. There's actually 2 burst explosions you can trigger off of it. And each time you do, the explosion and the range gets bigger and stronger. So let's read it. Launches an avalanche forward, basically this ball. Avalanche moves while towing enemies. Hitting a moving avalanche with the glacial clash, which is her first skill, triggers a chill explosion, which deals AoE damage and inflicts white panic on enemies. A white panic is an action speed reduction that lasts for 10 seconds. And each time the glacial clash triggers a chill explosion from the same avalanche, it triggers the effect. And you can do this 2 times, which is also going to earn you Frost Thorn, which gives you 300% delight. And if you look at her passive, you take that delight and multiply it by 0.035 for additional skill power increase. And you will see her numbers frickin' climb. The chill explosion is going to be growing in range, but also apply a 150% damage increase. Hit that ball twice and you will see S tier numbers. We're going to go through her whole kit and I'll show you all my build and all those details, but let me just walk you through this part. A little demonstration, if you will. So it's pretty easy. You're just going to launch your number 3 and then use your number 1 to pierce the inner ball if you can. Just go for that to be more precise. Now, a lot of people think it's bugged because when they hit it, it doesn't seem to do anything. And that's because the first time you hit it, it's less dramatic, but it does do an ice burst. You can see the ground. But when there's a lot of enemies around you, it's hard to see that detail. And then the second one, because remember, when you do it multiple times, it expands the range and the damage. So the second time you hit it, it becomes much more obvious. So a lot of people think the first time doesn't work, and so they have to do it again, or that they miss. And although you can miss, many times it's not the case. You're actually applying that damage. Now, before you activate her Snowflake Clash, you do want to activate her Ice Wall first, because when you hit the Avalanche, you're going to get an additional 50% skill critical hit damage bonus. So basically, the animation sequence is 3, 2, and 1. You can do 2, 3, 1, except Ice Wall's duration isn't super long. So doing 3, 2, and 1 buys you just a couple more seconds to make sure you get all of your bonus. Here's another tip. When you hit the ball the second time, it puts her into a backflip kick. It sets you up for a mid-air transition into her 4th skill. And before you hit the ground, you can mid-air transition to a powered up melee attack using your Shadow Sword. Master this combo and your gameplay will be super fluid. So you don't have to be as precise as you think. Actually, if you hit on the edges of the Avalanche, it'll still pick up the damage. The part that you have to sort of pick up is the timing in which you launch forward into it. Because when you do your dash, you might not quite get there, and that would be considered a miss because you didn't actually make contact. So to get the 2 chill explosions, it doesn't actually have to be 2 different snowflake clashes. However, if you want to land it more consistently, then you probably want to do snowflake clash bursts instead of just holding that thing down and trying to go in circles and whatnot. That is a much more difficult way of doing it, although it still works. I find if you're looking for consistency, do the clash in bursts. As I said earlier, Blooming Ecstasy is a really good way to go for mobbing. For the most part, what it's doing is it's changing her number 4 so that she lays down an area of effect. The longer you hold down the button, it charges up basically the range. And it's really cool because it holds in the air. And so you can do all of her animations and do a melee attack from the air. Dia's build is actually pretty straightforward because she's a crit descendant. And her crit chance is actually being driven by her HP. So you can get 100% critical hit chance with her. Most of that's going to depend on your ancestor mod, which I do not have yet. And I'm actually really happy with the build, super happy with the build. I feel like I'm going to be even more amazed when I get that thing. With her Avalanche mod, go for cooldown, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. Otherwise, range and HP. So cooldowns are really important. So let's start there. I have MP conversion and nimble fingers. Focus on chill. And then you're going to want to make sure you maximize her range. She's got a 250% range cap. I have skill expansion and maximize range. Now she's going to have a lot of crit chance. So what I'm doing is loading on as much critical hit damage as possible. Skill concentration, front lines, as well as emergency measures. Now both of these are also giving me crit chance, which is actually good because I don't have my ancestor mod yet. But when I do have my ancestor mod, I probably won't need that. Anywhere over 80% is a good place to be. From there, I'm driving a bunch of HP to drive up that crit chance and also my survivability. Stim Accelerant is great since she doesn't have any MP to worry about. A lot of people are using Vanguard for their trigger module, but I actually like Icebreaker. And I think people are missing out on this one because they haven't really figured out that trick with her Avalanche. That Avalanche is what triggers Frostbite, and thus is what going to give you Icebreaker. You can have 30 stacks. So you can have a base damage, its skill power up by 2,000%, with a damage range of 15 meters to nearby targets. It's going to increase by how many stacks you have, and the duration is 60 seconds. However, it's refreshable. Once you earn your 30 stacks, you can hold it for the duration of the entire mission. So you can see the little stack counter towards the left there. And although Vanguard is nice for some additional AoE, she doesn't really need it. Her mobbing capabilities are great. So what I'm looking for out of this mod is the additional damage to elites and commanders, as well as the tyrant. The main weapon I use for her is the shadow, because she can use that charge strike mid-air. I can use all of my skills and attack with the melee without ever touching the ground. So this is the weapon setup I have for her. It's the same setup I'm using on Glay. If you saw my Glay video, it's all multi-attack and toxic for the most part, so no crits loaded up on this build. You want a fusion reactor, and you definitely want crit damage on it. I elected to go with crit hit rate to push myself as close to 100% as possible, and that's only because I'm missing my Transcendent mod. So for a lot of these ancillary stats, it's your Transcendent mod is going to dictate what actually goes there. So you might put more fusion skill boost here, or cooldown, depending on what your ancestor mod brings to the table. I'm going with the bravery set. I think this is the way to go for mobbing. It allows you to spam your skills even more. Her number 3 and her number 4 actually have longer durations. So if you look at my base cooldown, 74%, again, when I get my ancestor mod, that'll probably go up. Even without that mod, we are near cap because we're also getting the cooldown from the inversion, which is 24%. So that's filling in the gap. However, I just don't think that's enough for how you want to play with her. So the bravery set lets you just do so much more. The downside is it's loading you up with a bunch of max shield and defense, which is fine. She's tanky enough, so I'm not worried about her survivability. However, her crit chance is driven by HP. And so if we had more HP, I wouldn't have to do these little things like put skill critical hit rate here on the mod. It's worth it. I'm destroying everything. So 20% chance to reduce a random skills cooldown by 1 second. So this is not going to be a percentage, so you don't have to worry about the cap thing. So it's just going to shave time. And you're defeating enemies enemy in bulk, right? This is triggering all the time. She doesn't have any MP, so you don't have to worry about that. I just don't have very many pieces of the bravery set. Just put max HP everywhere, then add a bunch of defensive stats. For inversion reinforcement, you get some skill damage here. This is a special stat just for Dia that's going to give you more critical hit damage as well as some more range, more HP, more skill cooldown. For arcade tuning, you have a lot of ways you can play this, and to be honest with you, there's no real wrong route here. Just remember she doesn't use MP, so try to minimize that. So I loaded up on HP here, and again, when I get my Ancestor mod, this might change, but for now, I'm taking it. If I get an Ancestor mod with HP, then I'll swing up here and take the skill power and then pick up a little bit more crit damage by picking up these stats. Picked up this cooldown. For the mod, Chill Chain Catalyst, there's quite a few options here, but this is gonna strip down some resistance against those heavier targets. Okay, I'm gonna send you off with some fun gameplay. Let me know what you guys think of Daya, and I really hope these tips and tricks get you to love her as much as I do. Catch you on the next one. thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandito, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy or download anything for the first Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?